This presentation for the final paper topics for MP636 was designed in order to assist students with clarifying the instructions and expectations for the final paper for this term. Most people are taking a look at the instructions, and I think there's a little bit of confusion around the first expectation, which is first and foremost you pick which level of the juvenile justice system you wish to focus on for your final paper. Will you focus on the pre-adjudication level, the adjudication or court level when the court processes are taking place, or will you focus on after the court processes, the incarceration, the parole, things of that nature? Each is a distinct area. Each has distinct roles for your mental health professional. Most people, when they were figuring out or trying to propose a topic, started doing things like, oh, I'm going to take a look at the mental health problems with kids in incarceration, or I want to take a look at the age at which we transfer juveniles to adult court. All are very relevant to just looking at the juvenile justice system. But if you recall week 1, the main goal of this entire course is for you to examine and learn about all the levels of the juvenile justice system and our roles as mental health professionals at those levels. This paper is a culmination of that goal or expectation. So now that you've chosen which level of the juvenile justice system you want to focus on, your next step is to take a look at the roles that mental health professionals play at that level. I outlined 4 in particular in hopes that they would be of the best assistance to you. The expert, say, you may be called in to consult on what type of program somebody puts in at that level. You may be called in as an expert to talk to the court about the topic most relevant to the case. Your instructor has been recognized as an expert in the area of sex offender treatment. I have been called to court on more than one occasion to just talk about what is acceptable treatment, recidivism rates, reasonable expectations and placements, all without examining the case itself, just to serve as an expert in that topic field. Evaluation and assessment. Many times, especially at various levels of the court, you're sent cases in which you do testing and evaluation to make recommendations. So now you have direct client contact and contact with the records. Many juveniles today at the court level or at the incarceration level must be evaluated as a sexually violent predator. So there are specific trained people that go in and just do sexually violent predator assessments to determine whether somebody's going to be released, placed in long-term care, should be under longer supervision, all those kinds of things. The treatment provider is going to provide the treatment. That one's probably the most obvious to all of us. The one that challenges us all is the one to be an advocate for your client, an advocate for your field, an advocate for your profession. Pushing the system to do what it needs to do to meet the mental health needs of your population and your clients. Now, I put down trainer and administrator because many times we're called on to train probation officers, train other mental health providers at various levels, maybe just general training that contributes to improving the professionalism of the entire staff. The dreaded administrator's job. Somebody's got to step up and do the grant writing, the budgeting, the hiring, the firing, and the oversight of day-to-day operations. So those are things that are often overlooked. The reason why you see 4 in bolded gold on this slide is that those are the ones that I'm requiring that you at least consider for this paper. The next step, we know what roles we have to look at, and we know what level of the system we're looking at for those roles. Now, when you look at a role, what are you going to look for? Consider this for each role. What are the professional challenges of fulfilling that role at that level? Because being a treatment provider outpatient is a whole lot different from being a treatment provider in a prison situation or a lockdown or detention facility. Personal challenges. Again, if you're working with clients that are under court supervision and they're outside, outpatient, there's a risk if you're working in your own community. They may not be happy with your recommendations. They could fail out of treatment. They could get in more trouble with the court. The point I'm making here is that there are personal challenges to working with populations at high risk. What are your ethical challenges? Again, any one of these populations at any one of these levels. What if you're working in a detention facility and you see things that are ethically questionable by staff or administration? Being the whistleblower could put you in a position to lose your job. At the same time, you have an ethical responsibility to the health and safety of those that you serve. Please keep each of these in mind. Now let's put it all together. If you take a look at this last slide, I'm literally offering you an organizational approach to your paper. If you do a nice introduction, doesn't have to be lengthy, just restate what you're focusing on, and then you look at the expert role for professional, personal, and ethical, the assessment or evaluator role, professional, personal, and ethical, the treatment provider and the advocate in the same manner, with a conclusion or a little self-reflection at the end of it, boom, you're done. Think of this, there's an 8-page minimum, and that doesn't include the title page or the reference section. The reason for this is you can obviously see that to even do just a basic work on either of these, 2 pages apiece is a pretty reasonable expectation for that level of information. I hope that this helps clarify and gets people back on track in terms of selecting a topic. In the end, the topic was fairly easy. What level am I doing? And do I have a resource that starts to talk about roles at that level? So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, please contact me.